Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. Ms. Fazzoni, please call roll.
Councilmember Coburn?
Yes.
Councilman Register?
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Mayor Jarman?
Yes, ma'am.
Casto?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Tedmer?
Yes, ma'am. Today's invocation is led by Pastor Raymond Duvall from the Beachside Fellowship Church. Please stand.
Let's pray together. Father, we're so grateful to you that you give us the privilege of living and working here in Panama City Beach and being a citizen of this great country. We thank you, Lord, for the opportunity that you've given us to go back to the vision of our founders, Lord, and to serve you and to serve one another. This morning, Lord, I pray for every member of the City Council that you would grant them wisdom, strengthen them, Lord God, that they would hear your voice and do your will. I pray for every member of the staff of Panama City Beach, for our first responders, the police and fire. We ask, Lord, that for each one of them, that you would bless them, strengthen them, bless their families even as they serve. We thank you, Lord, that you have a great and a mighty vision for our city. So help us to be sensitive to the direction of your Spirit, that everything that we say and do in this meeting and moving forward, even as we head towards a new year, Lord, let it be according to your purpose and plan. Guide us, direct us, and bless us. We thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey. Next is the community announcements. On November 16th, that's this Saturday, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., we have Cops and Kids at Aaron Bessett Park. That's going to be a fun one. Please join us all out there. On November 26th, from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., there will be the Swamp Hike at Conservation Park. The city offices are closed on November 28th and 29th for the Thanksgiving holiday. On November 29th and 30th, the Visit Panama City Beach Home for the Holidays will be at Aaron Bessett Park. Thursday, December 12th at 9 a.m., right here at City Hall will be our next City Council meeting. That'll be the last one for the year. And on December 13th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. will be Christmas with the Cops at the Police Department on the City Hall campus. Okay. Next up is the approval of the meeting minutes. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Fazzoni?
Councilmember Coburn?
Yes.
Councilman Register?
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Mayor Jarman?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Casto?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Tedmer?
Yes, ma'am. We move to the approval of the agenda and additions or deletions. Drew, did you have anything?
No, sir.
Okay, anything from council?
No, sir.
Nope.
Motion to approve. Second.
Ms. Fazzoni?
Councilmember Coburn?
Yes.
Councilman Register?
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Mayor Jarman?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Casto?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Tedmer?
Yes, ma'am. Now we move on to the presentations of the Employees' Years of Service Awards. For 20 years of service, the mayor, city council, and staff of the city of Panama City Beach extend the sincerest appreciation to Thomas Anderson for dedicated service and commitment to the city of PCB. Come on up.
Me and Tommy come up in the police department together, and it says 20 years here, but he's worked for the city for far longer than that. But he had a little intermission because he had a bug and wanted to go join a band or something like that. I don't know what it was, but he came back home 20 years ago and started his career, and I can't say how much of a valuable asset he's been to the agency. We were young detectives sitting across from each other. And to say we were competitive is an understatement, right? Who could close more cases, who could solve more crimes, and he definitely he's made me better as an officer coming up, and he's made this agency better. And seeing his entire family here, it just embodies the idea that the Beach Police is a family element, and with the support of the family, you can achieve a long, successful career. And Lieutenant, I can't tell you, man, how proud I am of you. So, congratulations. Here.
Not too much time. Thank you to the city for the recognition, city managers. I am so happy to receive this award on your watch. We are so blessed to have this man at the helm of the police department. Do not doubt that.
Promotions are coming up, guys.
Yep. Having my family here, I've missed holidays, birthdays, special times, but you guys understand and you encourage, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate that.
You'll get the family to come up for pictures.
Yeah, come on up, guys. We love calling him Grandpa around the police department now.
My son-in-law is also a police officer here.
You can tell how excited he is to stand over here next to the chief.
Okay. Adam? To Adam McClellan? Did I get it right? I practiced that one a lot, and I still stumbled over it. To Adam McClellan, the mayor, city council, and staff of the city of Panama City Beach extend our sincerest appreciation for dedicated service and commitment to the city of PCB for 5 years. Thank you, Adam.
Adam is an awesome employee. We couldn't ask for any better. He works yard debris and he does bulk pickup, and we're very fortunate to have him.
I know he makes a lot of people happy. Finally, Robert. Robert, the mayor, city council, and staff of the city of Panama City Beach extend our sincerest appreciation for dedicated service and commitment to the city of PCB for 5 years. Thank you.
Robert is another one of our heavy equipment operators. He makes sure all our drainage ways are clear and the street is safe for everybody to travel on. He does an excellent job, and he has performed any task I have asked of him. Congratulations.
Okay. Next up is public comment on the consent agenda and/or non-agenda business, which means if there's something not on the agenda you want to talk about, or if there's something on the consent agenda you want to talk about, come on up. Please say your name, address me or the city council as a whole, and keep it to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is John Conway. I'm a retired Navy diver, 100% disabled. The county doesn't charge me any taxes on my house, but you gentlemen charge me $25 every 2 months for the privilege of not using a sewer system. I have a septic tank. I come from New England. We dealt with that years ago. It's called the Boston Tea Party. We threw your junk in the bay. How can you charge me for something I'm not using? And the bill says user fee. That's it. I don't want to pay 25, and you just raised it 4%. Excuse me. That's it. Any answers?
We address public comments at the end of the public comment period.
Well, I got a dental appointment at the VA, so I won't be here for it.
It'll be right after this public comment period, so it'll be in a few minutes.
Mayor, I'll answer it now.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's a connection fee. It's an availability fee. Yes, sir, it is. It's an availability fee. I understand.
Sir.
I understand.
Yeah.
It's an availability fee, and that fee, I believe, did not go up. That stays the same? No, I'm asking.
4%.
It did go up? Okay. So it's an availability fee.
Well, you tell me it's a user fee.
Well,
And user fees are illegal.
I'm telling you now, it's an availability fee. I don't know. We'll talk to staff about
We're
it.
going to take it to the,
Okay.
it's a federal law about picking on handicapped people.
Everyone gets it that doesn't connect.
Thanks, John.
And thank you for your service.
Okay. Next up.
All right, good morning. Just want to thank you for coming up here and having the opportunity to speak. I'm humbled to have the opportunity to stand in front of you. My name is Anthony Angelo. I'm at 13101 Edna Street in Panama City Beach. That's Bahama Beach. And it wasn't long ago the mayor was running, and he had a great idea, a vision that, you know, the neighborhoods in Panama City Beach would have like a community liaison, someone to take messages from the neighborhood to the council. And I stole his idea after the council meeting that was a few weeks back where they discussed the golf cart parking on Oleander. So I apologize in advance for dragging you guys into hearing this over and over again. But that's what I'm here for today. We held a meeting after that. I talked to some neighbors and said, you know, let's get together and talk about it. It ended up being 20, 25 people. And we just discussed the issue and kind of came up with some plans. And from what I understand from that meeting, we have to request an agenda item. So I'd like to do that today, carry that message forward for the group of them. Since that meeting, we've had other people join. I got a list. I planned on listing their names here, but I'm not going to do that today. I think it'd take too long and it's unnecessary. There's about 30 of us that want to request an agenda item from Bahama Beach to discuss this in the future meeting if we can. And really our main concern, I can say that they've all given me permission to say this, that we're concerned with safety. And the plan that's there now that we're aware of and our interpretation of it is not one that we like or approve of, and we think we can come up with a better one that would be beneficial to the residents of Oleander. Their needs are real, and ours as well. So an amicable solution is what we are after, it's what we seek. And it was brought to my attention just before this meeting that the city manager, Drew Whitman, had reached out or talked to somebody in our neighborhood, and so I want to thank you for that personally. I don't know what the details of that are, but it's an olive branch, it's an opportunity, it's a seat at the table, I think, and that's what we're after. Just want to be included in that discussion. So I'm going to stop there with the me carrying the message for Bahama Beach, and then just say this is just for me. It's not everybody else's opinion, but I'm father of 2 babies. 1-year-old and 2-year-old. We go to the beach a lot. I did buy my house because of the beach access. I bought my house because I could take my golf cart down there. It's something I really enjoy. I'm a little scared and worried at the idea of taking my family across the road or dropping off. One's running toward the beach, the other one's running up toward the road. So those are my concerns, just mine. And that's it. Thank you very much. Hopefully we can get that seat at the table, and thank you.
Thank you, sir.
A little tall. Hi, my name is Glenda Thompson. I'm also a Bahama Beach resident. I actually moved here about a month and a half ago. So I'm new, but I'm not new to Panama City Beach. My family's been vacationing here for about 15 years. I actually would consider myself a Long Beach resort resident because that's usually where we were at. But I'm really excited to actually be living here now. I am a part of the community with Anthony that is concerned about the access with the golf cart parking. One of the main reasons actually why I bought my home in Bahama Beach was because of beach access and because of the availability of parking. I looked at numerous homes up and down the beach, and there were several things. I mean, I love my house. I was really excited about the home. The neighborhood's fantastic. I have really great neighbors. But the beach access and the parking was really why I actually picked my home. And I didn't know there was any discussions about changing that up when I purchased my property. So as Anthony said, we're looking for just a good discussion, something that we can come up with that all the neighbors in the area are happy with, that can make it to where we can all enjoy and access the beach safely. I don't have young kids. I have a 20-year-old and an 18-year-old that'll just be coming in to visit. They don't live here with me. But I'm even nervous about them crossing Front Beach Road right there. There's not a traffic light closed where the parking would be at. I drove down it yesterday, and obviously, like right now, it's not a problem getting across. There's not a lot of traffic. But in the summer, it's backed up right there. And I would be nervous even with my older kids crossing the road right there. So I do think it is a safety concern. But I would like to, as Anthony said, just request that we have a discussion about this further. There's some parties that are going to be affected that weren't involved in the original discussions that would just like to have a further discussion to see if there's something that we can come up with. We're pretty positive we can come up with something that'll be amicable to the entire neighborhood and for everybody to get what they need and to continue to enjoy the beach safely. So thank you.
Thank you.
Janice Hatcher. I have the perfect solution to her problem. If there are 4 people in a vehicle, pull down on Oleander, put your children out at a access point, and let the man or whomever is driving the vehicle, we'll assume they're old enough to drive, let them drive back up to the 70 spaces and park their vehicle, and then come across the road and go down to the beach. That's how it's always been done, and that's a good solution. So that solves her problem right there. Also, whenever people are meeting in these neighborhoods with the mayor and such, I would like to be included in that. I'm a part of this city also, and I wish I could have attended wherever you went to or whomever you called. You know, I've been very vocal about this. This is my home also. Not only is it my home, it's my business. I paid a lot of money for the property. I pay a lot of taxes. And beach access parking was not allowed inside the beach access because there are walkways, and that is illegal. We've all discussed that. So when people have meetings, I would love to attend those meetings, and so would all the other people of Oleander, not decide something behind our back. That's number one. Number 2 is, have spot short-term rentals been allowed in the city of Panama City Beach in the past 10 years? I've asked this question before, Mayor, you didn't answer me, nor did Drew. Are there forms available to request a spot rental? If there are forms available, which I know there are, it must be a possibility. And I don't think it should be up to a few people to decide how our city runs, be it the city manager, you, whomever. I think it should be up to the people because you're not the last stop. You may think you are, but you're not. Why would someone not be allowed to receive a permission for a spot rental, short-term spot rental? They've been done. One was recently requested. So I know it's available. But who is it available to? The people you care for and want to allow this opportunity? I've heard. There's ears everywhere, and they hear everything that you say. And if it's Hatcher asking for a short-term spot rental, you know you're going to have to approve her if you approve it. That shouldn't be what you should say. You should say this city is for everyone. And we need to prosper in our city the same way other counties are prospering. We've got an old school way of doing things, and we need to step on up. Look at your neighbors. I know you said you don't want to be like 38, Stuart, But 38 has some good ideas. So does the west end of the beach have some really great ideas. But when you pull up to Panama City Beach, that one line right there past Wells Street, all the houses are going down in value. They look old. They haven't been painted. So many people would like to.
Thank you, Ms. Hatcher.
Good morning. My name is Salvatore Morelli. I live on Camilla Street in Bahama Beach. The issue in regards to the parking area, I understand the young lady's concern with her business. I owned a business in the past here in Panama City Beach as well, and it's tough. But she has to understand that we all have to share that beach. And the fact that she has her venue there, her wedding venue there, and the one comment she made that there were people mooning her venue and stuff, look, I'm not gonna be out on the beach mooning anybody. It's not the locals who are doing that. And a lot of those homes along there are short-term rentals. And what we have when we have short-term rentals, we have a lot of people coming in from out of town on spring break and so forth. That is where the problem comes from. We're just trying to find a place to park our golf carts so that we can safely take our families to the beach. No, she said, well, you can take stuff across the street. Now, with Nick's, that corner that you guys are planning, that's a crazy corner. I live just on the other side of Middle Beach. Try crossing that street when that light turns green. I'm telling you, it's like a raceway. They get bogged up on Front Beach, and the first thing they want to do is go, 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 go. Okay? And as far as carrying things across from Nick's up there, I mean, I live just up the way. I can carry it all down to the beach myself, you know, in regards to that. But that's not the purpose of being able to have a golf cart to drive down there. Orienda on the one side is all public property, okay? I mean, it's accessible to everybody, okay? And we're going to lose all the parking on the top side of Front Beach. I mean, we're losing that. Where are we going to go to park our vehicles? Okay, so but you're limiting more and more of where we can have access to the beach. Okay, so now, I mean, as far as carrying stuff across, I like to metal detect. I go down to the beach by myself. She's talking about families going down, and you know, when you go down by yourself, what are you supposed to do? You can't leave your stuff there and park the golf cart and then come back down. You know, if I take a cooler, an umbrella or stuff down there for myself, you can't park the golf cart and carry it. What's the sense of carrying it all the way across? And then you're going to put the burden on entrance 50. I mean, can you imagine what's going to happen when you have all these people from this parking lot flooding into 50? What about your neighbors down there at 50?
Sir, please address the council.
I'm sorry?
Sir, please address us.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that was an issue. And so, you know, we're concerned about all our neighbors through there. You know, and as far as cleaning up, and unfortunately I wasn't here at the other meetings because I was unaware of it. As far as cleaning up the beach and the areas and stuff like that, we do that. We want to make our neighborhoods pretty. We want to keep our areas safe and clean. And why would we cause trash and cause all kinds of issues as far as parking and stuff goes? So, you know, we're all neighbors. We all have to live together. We all have to work together. And hopefully we can bring this back to the table and have a discussion and possibly having that parking revisited again. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Scott Hallman, 137 Johnson Bayou Drive. Mayor, I know you tried to keep the state ethics complaint quiet because it's embarrassing. It could also derail any future political ambitions you have. I also know you received the same response I did from the state with clear directions on what was needed should I decide to resubmit. A wise man once said, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Today I'm asking, should I move forward with this? We all have a past. Forgiveness is possible for anyone who acknowledges their responsibilities and their actions. Removing anyone simply because you don't like what they're saying is unacceptable behavior from the head of our city. Changing meeting times without proper notice is equally unacceptable. Imagine if you were to wake up and see your parents' image on TV being used in a negative political ad. How would you feel? All those actions are unacceptable of a public official, and no different than attempting to placate someone by offering a position on a board as a community liaison the day before an election. Since the ethics complaint was filed, you've stopped interrupting speakers at the podium. You no longer dictate what people can discuss at the start of the open forum. You seem more tolerant, and even when distractions arise, you seem much more professional than you first started, and I appreciate that. I'm hopeful these are genuine changes and not just because the State Oversight Board was watching you. Today, will you apologize to Gary for when you wrongfully removed him? Today, will you pledge to never again use anyone in your ads without their express written consent? Everything I've done so far has been reactionary. I can move forward or rehash the past, but the ball is in your court here. I also have a couple of questions from last meeting. I'm not sure, did we spend $900,000 or $2.7 million to change out the water meters? That was unclear, if someone could answer that. Also, I don't understand the reason why we're spending all this money on infrastructure that never needed to be addressed. Everything was working fine. When it comes to some of the short-term rentals here, we're unable to find the small amount of money needed for software for them, and we're charging them an additional fee. But for this, where there's no cost saving, the person said we're not getting rid of any workers. There's going to be no cost. No one's going to pay any less on their bill. But we can find the money for that, just for what seems like a technology upgrade and a real fancy app. But for the people who are actually supporting our community, who are giving us the reason, they're the reason that these short-term rentals that everybody's arguing about and upset about are the reason we don't have an ad valorem for our area. We need to support this, or else we're going to start paying this tax. So I think we need to be a little bit more supportive of the people who are helping us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning. My name is Doug Kinzer, and I'm actually the local Cub Master here for Cub Scouts. I'm also involved in the Boy Scout troop that meets over at the Navy base. Just wanted to take a minute and say thank you to all of you. We receive a tremendous amount of support from our community, and whether it's Cub Scouts going to firehouse visits or older scouts that need to work on citizenship merit badge, I know I could reach out to any of you at any time and receive assistance with what they need. And I just want to take a moment to say, we have an absolutely amazing community here, and we need to be proud of it. Scouts is something that's relevant. It always has been. The mission statement of the Boy Scouts says that they're to help young people develop moral and ethical choices over their lifetime. And part of that is we want to make sure that nobody who wants to be a scout is ever denied that opportunity because of finance. So one of the major things that the Scouts do is they have a annual popcorn sale. And that's very important to the funding of Scouts. 70% of the money stays with Scouts. A portion of it goes to our council to maintain our Scout camp and put on big program events. Some of it comes down to the local units and it helps them with their expenses, put on holiday parties and things like that. But about 20% of it actually filters down to the individual Scouts. So that way they have an opportunity that no matter where they come from, what their background is, they can be a part of the movement. They can pay their dues, they can buy their uniform, they can go to summer camp. So it's a huge thing for us. And this year, with our popcorn sales, we've had great partners again this year with Publix and Lowe's, very supportive of the Scouts being out front selling popcorn. We've actually, despite the fact that everybody feels the pinch at the grocery store and the gas pump, our generous community, our generous guests, they've all come together and supported the Scouts. So this year we have about $34,000 on the books here locally. This weekend's the final weekend coming up, and looks like we're going to finish about $37,000 that our Scouts have sold. And that's going to enable a lot of them to do a lot of good things. But again, that all comes back to community generosity. But just to put it in perspective for you, our council goes from Pensacola through Gulf County, and about 11% of all the popcorn sold across the Panhandle has been right here on this beach. So that's enabled us to, as we go through the sale and people say, give this bag to somebody else, here's $5, put it towards something that you need. We gather that and we donate it to our first responders. So after the meeting here, the chiefs are going to have about 20 cases of popcorn to pick up and distribute to their people, and that's thanks to all of you for supporting Scouting.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Doug.
Good morning, Alfredo Martin. You know me as Alfie. Since I was not going to come today because I'm going back and forth, I'm traveling and trying to sell Panama City Beach as a destination on my own. We got to stop talking about Oleander Drive as a place where we are all rich people that rent places and live out of it. I live there. I live there and I live in BDW. Suddenly, we were fighting for BDW, and because that fight was lost, Now he's trying to get the parking for the golf carts on Oleander. You have a safety issue. Yesterday, and somebody here can verify, we had a pickup truck on the embankment park. Every day we have drunk people driving golf carts through Oleander, driving through my property. I don't mind the locals. I love the locals. You know how many times I help veterans to walk? Now we have a ramp. You cannot put parking on Oleander Drive, and if you want to do something, have the tram park on Front Beach Road, drop the people, or allow the golf carts to drop the people on the beach access. Now, about beach access 50, somebody said that's going to be jammed. It's jammed now. It's a problem. Can you imagine if you have 4, 8, 10, 15 golf carts? It's not about money. What is the part that we don't get here? It's about healthy living. It's about quality of life. It's also about safety. Last week, I had 2 people running up the hill, knocking on my door, desperate, and you can verify that, I'm sure, on the records. They had an accident. There were 3 or 4 fire department trucks. There were police. The golf cart turned because that corner is impossible to handle if you are not careful. How are you going to fix going down Oleander, all those golf carts? Most of the people that drive those golf carts are not locals. This is very simple. Allow people to drop on the beach access. If you want to do the locals, that's fine, but give locals permits to park any place with a permit in Panama City Beach. Saturday, you had a meeting. Somebody had a meeting. Today, we have all these people here. This week, today is Thursday, I have 5 calls. People calling me on my phone or sending me texts to see if I wanted to sell my house. And one of them made a big mistake. And I said, why would I sell my house? I said, well, because you're going to have golf carts in France, you're going to have truck and this, it's going to be a commercial area. Would you like to sell? That's a fact. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Further public comment?
Good morning, City Council, Mayor. My name is Denzel Bailey. I have safety concerns that I see while I walk around the city here. I love the city. I am here. Lucky you. The 2 roads that I'm concerned with are Alf Coleman and Hutchinson. I'm going to address, they're both mini speedways now. Alf Coleman was just repaved and it involves children, so I'm going to go there first. There's a intersection of Cabana Boulevard and Alf Coleman. I wish you'd write that down. That intersection is a disaster. It was just redone and reworked, the drainage, sidewalks, repaved. It is now a mini speedway from Lowe's to Hutchinson. I see speeding violations every day. There's a bus stop, there's children that come there at the end of Cabana, at least a dozen from that community, White Sands and that little community, and they have no place except the curb to sit on, and their families can't sit there because there's an island in the middle of that road. So they sit on the island, they sit on the curb on both sides of the road. There's kids that's right beside Alf Coleman, and it's dangerous. Now, the other thing is they just reworked that whole area and repaved it. And I used to do that work, and it looks good. But that intersection floods like it is the stupidest thing. The water gets 1.5 feet deep right where the kids get out of the bus. They get out of the bus onto the sidewalk. They got 1.5 feet of water between them and their houses. The only way for them to get and not walk through that water is to cross Alf Coleman, go up to the north side of that street, and try to come back. And it's only inches less up there. The intersection is not built right. It looks right. It is not right. I've done this work. The contractor needs to come back and redo that intersection. In the meantime, my suggestion is a temporary bus stop for the kids to get off at the sidewalk and then walk directly up onto Cabana on a ramp, temporary ramp, something. So they're not in the water, they're not on Alf Coleman, they're not in danger, because something's going to happen. I'm a former Air Force rescue medic. I look at these things. That is my concern there, and it could be dealt with, it should be dealt with quickly. And the contractor needs to do that within a year, or I think it goes to the city as to pay for it. I'm not sure how that works, but. The other one is Hutchinson, and my concern is the speed of these new electric bikes that they have. I walk Hutchinson, my gym is there. These bikes are running at over 40 miles an hour on the sidewalk. I am walking down the sidewalk, I have bikes go past me, which are really electric motorcycles. They really are. They go past me, and they've brushed me a couple times. They're running at the speed of traffic on the road, on Hutchinson. Same speed, right with them. And they go right past me.
All right. Thank you, Bailey.
And this is a disaster waiting to happen. I mean, somebody's going to get hit. My suggestion is.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Your time's up.
Oh, I'm up.
Yeah. But I appreciate it. I appreciate it. We're looking.
Well, I'll be back.
All right. Looking forward to it. Further public comment?
I had already been subjected to so many constitutional violations, basic constitutional violations of my Bill of Rights. I had already been. My name is Captain Gary Wayne Beck. I live at 2601 Beach Street. We've been subjected to so many constitutional violations, basic constitutional violations of my Bill of Rights, such as my right to free speech. Whenever I was second in line to see President Trump and he was here, they wouldn't let me in. Then I was first in line to see Trump when he was in Orlando, Florida, and they wouldn't let me in. Why? Because they don't want the nation to know what you've done to the Constitution and Bill of Rights and how you've kept me from doing my people's will with my energy inventions, the asteroid defenses, and all the other inventions that my Lord above gave me. I hope that you're happy, because I sat there and watched just the other day at the bike week. I watched the Panama City Police Department and all the numerous police agencies police the bike rally, and you had just told me that you couldn't get me in touch with the sheriff when we're dealing with capital felonies that come against we the people and we the republic. You've got to be proud of yourself. And then we got Chief Telemonte back there with all the criminal acts that he's been exposed to. That keeps turning his head in the sand, telling me he can't get me in touch with the Bay County Sheriff's Department. So you can use the Panama City Police and all these other different police agencies for traffic, but you can't use them against capital felonies that come against we the people. Oh yeah, that's right. These capital felonies being committed by who? You, the elected officials, our servants, who's the ones that's carrying out the take and destroying people's homes, ripping of their constitutional rights and their judicial due process in the 14th Judicial when they forged my name. And let's don't forget when Griffin pulled me away when I was talking to the mayor, not the mayor, but I was trying to talk to the governor, and the governor came over on the government on 11th Street, and Griffin pulled me away. And oh yeah, let's don't forget, they stopped me from speaking completely in the Bay County government building. They stopped me speaking completely in the Panama City Commission meetings, completely violating my constitutional rights to free speech, which has been done on this Panama City beach as well. But y'all are turning a blind eye to the words, and the reason being is because of let's see, the tax money was what, $10,000 last year, and all of a sudden the tax money disappeared. What happened to the money? They've laundered it. What happened to all the 48 properties that y'all ripped from the people? What happened to those properties? Y'all laundered it, and I have records of all of it. And what you going to do? Let's go ahead. After I get done speaking with you right now, I've got all the phone numbers to the different departments, and maybe you could show me a little bit of effort. That way I won't call you so many names like I've been doing, because you put your head to sand with blatant constitutional violations that you know are happening. Not only that, felonies that your own officers admit is a felony, and you're doing nothing to stop it, and you know how deep it goes. So please, I'm trying to do what's right.
Thank you, sir.
Inventions, stuff like that, but I'm getting tired of being manipulated and controlled with my dollar. Just such an
Sir, please turn that off.
They pride on it being independent. Now please do something.
Further public comment? Okay. Mr. Whitman, we had about 10 of these.
Vice Mayor already spoke to John. I've known John for 33 years. He can reach out to me anytime he wants, but he explained it very well about the accessibility for the connection fee on the sewer. 2, 3, 5, 7 are all about comments to the council, so I'll leave that to you guys. Ms. Hatcher, she made a comment about spot zoning. We do not allow spot zoning. That would have to go to the land development code, the planning board, then come back to you guys, and you guys would approve it or deny it. The only one I'm aware of that came before you recently was denied, so I'm not aware of what she's talking about. One was approved that I'm aware of, so.
Yeah.
And
I will add to that one, certainly, I don't put my finger on anything regarding city business. I would say, ma'am, I got you. I would say certainly I don't put my finger on anything like that in terms of denying or anything like that. That's a ridiculous allegation. Go ahead.
And then she made a comment that I had a special meeting. I don't have special meetings. I address anyone that calls me, sends me emails, or wants to meet me. There has been several people from the Bahama Beach that have reached out to me. I've either emailed them or talked to them on the phone, but no special meetings that I've held with the whole group. 5, like I said, was in reference to the board. Scott, your question about the water meters, the $900,000 and then the $2 million, those are two different items on our agenda a couple meetings ago. The $900,000 was to buy additional meters for our system, to replace some of the older ones, or just the expansion of Holy Island, because we control from bridge to bridge to bridge with our utilities. So that's a normal expenditure. The $2 million is to upgrade our automated meter reading systems. That will be a benefit not only for our residents, but for the cities. The residents will be able to track it with the app that he was referring to. They will be able to tell if there's a leak in their water system, and it'll save the city money, because if there's a water leak, that costs us money in the long run. So I think that's a benefit to the city. But it was two different items on the agenda. One was to purchase meters. One was to move forward with an automated meter reader system that's going to take two to 3 years to get there. We've been trying to do this for at least 15 and 20 years. We're finally in a position that we're ready to go forward with that. Elfie, I helped Elfie out with the truck. I can verify that it was in a dangerous position. Chief Tao took care of that with his police department on that. The safety concerns on Elf Coleman, I'll have the PD start working enforcement on that to make sure we don't have any speeding vehicles during the day, especially when the children are getting off the bus. And I'll have our Public Works Department look at the flooding at Cabana and Elf Coleman. And that was it for me.
Yeah, Chief, I think the speeding was also on Hutchinson.
Yeah, Hutchinson, we'll work on that. That's still under construction with the state, but,
Drew.
we'll definitely work on it. We can enforce the speed on that.
Yeah, great.
Can we add to that one?
Yeah, go ahead.
What would it take for the school bus to pull into that neighborhood to pick those kids up?
That would be something the general would have to work on, the superintendent. The
Okay.
buses do not like coming off the main roads. That's why they stop on Back Beach as well.
Right.
Because once they get in the neighborhood, it's hard for them to get back out. So if you've ever seen the buses, they usually stop on Middle Beach or Back Beach Road and let the kids off there.
Right.
It's just a safety concern for them to, once they get in the neighborhood, it's hard for them to get back out, and it delays all the stops.
Yeah, I just wondered, there's just nowhere for refuge for those kids.
No, there's not.
It's really like densely landscaped with roses and all kind of things. So I agree that that may be something we need to look at for them to pull in, make the loop, and pick those kids up.
I can speak to the general about that. We have 3 residential areas in that. We have the Stone Harbor, we got Cabana. So I can talk to him about that to see if he can do 3 stops.
That's a good idea, I think. I agree
Yeah.
with.
But that would be a decision the school board would make.
Okay.
And that's all I had, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey.
Mayor,
Yep.
Alf Coleman, we just spent a ton of money down there, and I travel that road a lot, and is it still flooding in some places down there? We still had to put the flood signs and everything
No,
up?
we haven't put the flood signs out in a while. When it first was being completed, there was an issue with some flooding in some residential areas on the west side. That was caused a blockage with the state working.
We
on
had a
everything.
problem with beavers down there. I'm wondering if that isn't what's backing that water up there.
Yes, sir.
I mean, but we definitely need to check on that before that warranty runs out with that contractor on it, because we spent a ton of money on that road. And
Kathy and her team's done a great job of making sure the barriers are down and the beaver dams are removed. The last couple of rain events, no issues whatsoever. But about 4 events back, we did have an issue because there was a blockage with Back Beach Road.
that was downstream in that wetlands where everything ran to. And
Yes, sir, because everything runs north in that direction.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I will say, if there's any flooding issues in Cabana or elsewhere on Alf Coleman, now that it's pretty much done, folks, send us the info, take a picture, and let us know.
Yes,
Especially if you get a picture with the timing. We'd love to take a look at it. As Drew and Councilman Casso said, there was some initial flooding during the work, but it should be taken care of. All right. Regarding discussions with Bahama Beach, I'm I'm more than amenable to talking about it, maybe sometime in the new year, or having discussions just to see what our options are there. So, you know, I think it's worth getting the community involved and having that discussion, and maybe have the city work up a few options.
Yeah, I'll discuss that a little bit right now. I don't know. It seems like there's some bad information or some misinformation. I'm not sure if it's coming from someone on the council or from somewhere else, but you have to understand that the easements are not owned by the city. Okay? That is an agreement of usage. That agreement can be voided if it's overburdened and determined so by those residents on that easement. Okay? There's also title understandings that you have to look at with the easements. So it's not ours to do with as we please. That's an important understanding. I suggest that Bahama Breeze get with the Oleander people and work something out. Asking us as a city council to split the baby is not the right course of action. If an agreement can be made between Bahama Breeze and Oleander, I will entertain it. But until that time, I'm not going to, me personally, I'm not going to entertain it. It's been discussed. We have parking a stone's throw away. Now, as far as the safety issue, what you see now is not what the design will end up being as far as crosswalks and crossing that road. It's going to be designed for crosswalk to DOT safety standards. So that is my suggestion. The best course is for Bahama Beach to sit down with Oleander and come up with a solution or not. That's my take.
I will say, if the implication is that there was misinformation coming from this council, that was absolutely not true. Very clear about what is entitled and what.
Mayor, I said bad information?
Or bad information. I'm very careful when I speak.
Oh, I didn't implicate you.
I said if that was the implication.
Oh, well, you said you were very careful when you speak, so that kind of, I mean, I didn't know who it was or what, but.
Yeah, I did have a meeting with the Oleander folks. If you invite me to talk, I'm going to meet with you.
Oh, I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I'm just, yeah. So we had a nice conversation.
With Oleander or Bahama Beach?
Oh, I'm sorry, with both Oleander and Bahama Beach, yeah.
Together?
Not together. A bunch of neighbors from Bahama Beach just asked what the status was.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
We kind of walked through what was going on with 4.3. We walked through the history from the city council. We walked through just what's going on, just as a kind of a public information meeting or public information discussion at someone's home. So I think it's worth Bahama Beach and Oleander working together, trying to figure out a solution. But it also has to be something that's feasible for the city, too.
Well, that's why I said if they come up with a solution, then bring it to us.
Well, also, it's just, if it's feasible, I mean, the city has engineers that have looked at this. In my opinion, if the city has a few options that could work, because we know, for example, it had been brought up by the Oleander folks about extending the right-of-way on the top with the wall, trying to add that right-of-way parking on the south of Front Beach Road, which is just not going to be feasible. So there's some things I think it's worth Bahama Beach reaching out, trying to figure out what's feasible. I think it's worth you guys talking together. We do want everyone to cooperate. I'm happy to facilitate. I'm sure, and I'm happy to make sure that anything is feasible that we can actually do with the public funds.
Well, I think that if they get together and come to a solution, they bring it to us. We've already spent money engineering something that wasn't approved by the council, and I don't want to do that again. So if we can take a look at whatever agreement or non-agreement that they come up with and then address it if that's the course of action that they want to take. I'm not just going to spend money spitballing and throwing things against the wall to see what works and what doesn't.
Sure, but we have engineers that can, if you.
They do not do that for free, sir.
We have engineers, they don't have to do a full-on report. They can certainly say that's going to be infeasible. Like Scott has come up here previously and said that's going to be infeasible.
Scott costs us money.
Yeah. So this, I mean, this is also his job.
Mr. Whitman, where are we at on the design of that segment?
4.3, we're probably about 40 or 50%. I haven't had an update on that one.
And that goes back to what I've said all along, is we're continuing to put the cart before the horse, and lack of understanding and having this out in the community and what that plan looks like. We can't determine how safe that crossing is right now, in my opinion, because we don't even have it designed what we're going to do. I mean, we've looked at a roundabout there. Now that's not happening. We've looked at several different options, is my understanding. So we're just not there yet, is my understanding, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And so for me to put it back and continue, we're how many years out?
4.3, we probably won't touch until 2026. When we bid that up.
2026.
So we
As
got-
far, before we have a design, or when will we?
We'll have the design hopefully by the end of the year. And there will be a
Construction
co-
2026.
Yeah.
Yeah.
End of this year?
Next year, I'm sorry.
End of next
End of
year.
2025.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think we need to get a full picture before we start discussing any changes or doing anything like that. We've discussed it ad nauseum, but for no point, really, because we don't know what that design really looks like. And I'm not a technical expert either, so I agree with Vice Mayor Jarman that the council shouldn't be the ones up here trying to decide. We put it in the hands of our technical experts once, and we denied that plan, and we've come up with a different plan. If there's something else that they'd like to bring, all the residents, and I'm happy to hear them out, but they need to put it together.
So I think the next step, I think it absolutely is worth the neighborhood and Oleander folks talking together about what would make sense. I also think it's worth, you're more than welcome to reach out to any of us and talk about your concerns. If you want to have a larger discussion facilitated by any of us, more than happy to do that. We do have resources here so that we're not coming up with ideas that don't make any sense. I would say because it is end of next year for bidding, it means the plans are going to be done soon, and changing the plans later on is expensive. So this is the time to talk about this kind of thing. Okay. Any further comments from council on this one? Or anything else? Doug? Sorry, Alfie, you can come up after the meeting. You can come up, Alfie, you can come up after, Alfie. Doug, thank you so much for your work, and thanks for the donation. And Bailey, I really appreciate the comments for bringing this to our attention. I know you talked to me.
Thank you all.
Yep. Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda. Ms. Mazzoni?
Resolution 2513, a resolution of the City of Panama City Beach, Florida, authorizing the purchase of medical supplies for the fire department from Boundtree Medical LLC in an amount up to $38,000 for fiscal year 2025, and agreeing to be bound by the terms and conditions of the Okaloosa County, Florida contract for the purchase of medical supplies. Resolution 2514, a resolution of the City of Panama City Beach, Florida, approving the purchase of self-contained breathing apparatus equipment for the fire department from Fisher Scientific Company, LLC, in the total amount of $37,922.40, and agreeing to be bound by the terms and conditions of the Orange County, Florida contract governing that purchase. Resolution 2515, a resolution of the City of Panama City Beach, Florida, approving a task order with Dewberry Engineers, Inc. for professional general engineering services for the Frank Brown Park Pickleball Court project in the amount of $107,050. Resolution 2516, a resolution of the City of Panama City Beach, Florida, authorizing the purchase of 3 ductile iron pipe spool pieces for the wastewater treatment facility from Core and Main in the total amount of $31,385.73. Resolution 2517, a resolution of the City of Panama City Beach, Florida, approving settlement agreements with Reed's Court LLC related to all claims for full compensation fees and costs arising from the city's acquisition of land for the Front Beach Road Segment 4.2 project in the total amount of $246,751.70. Resolution 2518, a resolution of the City of Panama City Beach, Florida, approving task orders with Chandler and Associates of Panama City, Inc., Deal Consulting, PA, and Diskin Property Research for the appraisal and appraisal review of properties for the Front Beach Road Segment 4.3 project in the total amount of $422,650. Resolution 2519, a resolution of the City of Panama City Beach, Florida, approving a task order with Dewberry Engineers, Inc. for construction inspection services related to Panama City Beach Parkway utility relocations, an amount not to exceed $131,300. Resolution 2520, a resolution of the City of Panama City Beach, Florida, appointing Holly White as acting clerk of council during the month of December 2024 in the absence of the city clerk. Resolution 2512, a resolution of the City of Panama City Beach, Florida, adopting legislative and executive branch priorities for the 2025 Florida legislative session. Resolution 2522, a resolution of the City of Panama City Beach, Florida, approving an agreement with Cloud Navigator, Inc. for the purchase of Microsoft Intune software in the basic amount of $67.44 per user per year, and agreeing to be bound by the terms and conditions of the United States General Services Administration contract governing that purchase. Resolution 2523, a resolution of the City of Panama City Beach, Florida, related to the Optimus Club of the Beach's annual Christmas parade, authorizing closure of portions of South Pier Park Drive and Elsie Hilton Drive, and authorizing temporary usage of portions of Front Beach Road, all between 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. on December 14, 2024, and providing an immediately effective date.
Well, that was a mouthful, Ms.
I was about to say, she got a word
Yeah.
today.
MVP of the council meeting over there. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Fazzoni?
Councilmember Coburn?
Yes.
Councilman Register?
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Mayor Jarman?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Casto?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Tettemer?
Yes, ma'am. We have now made it to the regular agenda. Item 1, ordinance 1655. Ms. Madalena?
Thank you.
Mrs. Madalena.
Ordinance number 1655, an ordinance of the City of Panama City Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 4 of the city's Code of Ordinances, amending the definition of municipal services, establishing requirements for beach weddings, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict, providing for severability, scrivener's errors, liberal interpretation, modifications, codification, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, could you give us a brief summary? I know we've already talked about this.
Sure, we're on second reading for this ordinance. Prior to this ordinance, if it's adopted, any sort of beach weddings would have had to go through the special event permit process, which is fairly burdensome. What this ordinance does is it makes it a little bit easier. So for small weddings, which is defined as 40 or less, essentially someone just needs to send an email with some basic information about the wedding and have the upland owner's approval. For medium-sized weddings, that's 41 to 100 guests. They're going to have a condensed application process. And then for anything larger than that, which is 101 or more attendees, you fall back to the regular special events process. And so the goal is just to make it a little bit easier. The ordinance also sets forth some time limitations and some other standards.
Okay, thank you. I will now open public comment on this agenda item.
Certainly. Janice Hatcher. I just want to know, I have a hotel and a business license to operate my business, 13223 and 13225 Oleander. We have weddings there. They were built for weddings. And so I'm above board with everything. When we set up a wedding, we get our permit. How do I prevent the people of Bitterweed? And I think this all comes back to it. How does this city prevent them from coming in to this area where we've got an arbor set up and chairs and shooting moons, which they do, and become drunk and put their thing under the arbor? You don't understand. This is far more than people just parking in an access. My business, the wedding business, I'm talking about it. I want to know, how are you going to protect my guest and how you're going to protect me? I have a business license. I have a hotel license. I can do what I'm doing. How do I keep those people out from in front of my home when a wedding is happening and this behavior from happening. We have to call the police. How are you going to help me prevent this from happening? I have a
Ma'am, this is
business.
about the wedding
Yeah.
ordinance.
Well, it's about the wedding, and it's about weddings. You're so stubborn and not listening. You want to analyze it into some little something. This is about weddings. This is the real problem that we're all talking about here. Look at me. This is the real problem that we're talking about. I can't conduct my business because the people of Biddle, we are all back there in my wedding space when I'm having a wedding, and they're conducting themselves in a bad way. That's really what this is all about, not parking in an access. And I can't get that through your head. You don't understand.
Ma'am, this is not about parking and access, this is about wedding special event permits.
Yeah, but you heard the rest of it, and the rest of us did too. You know, this sneakiness going behind our back, nobody asked me to meet about anything, and nor did they ask the people on our street on Oleander to meet. You're meeting with people privately in their home. You're stirring discontentment, and that discontentment can cause people to get hurt. Recently, the man that was up here called me a Karen.
Ma'am, please address the
And he
agenda.
said he knew how to
Ma'am,
make a
please
Karen
address the
cry.
agenda item.
Yeah,
Please
he's-
address the agenda item.
Yeah, he said he knew how to make a Karen cry at a wedding. And I asked him, did that involve a weapon? You're going to keep on till somebody gets hurt because you're pushing an agenda that you shouldn't. You're not being a mayor to all the people, and that's what you were elected to be fair and to listen.
Ma'am, please address the agenda item.
I did.
Thank you.
Scott Heilman. Just have a question. How does this change anything with regards to the actual special event ordinance we already have? Why do we have a special event ordinance for weddings? Do we need different standards for weddings than for regular gatherings? Thank you.
Further public comment? Again, on the wedding special.
Mhm,
Yeah.
Sure. I'm just curious, in regards to the wedding, so we're going to eliminate the fee for a certain amount of people in venues? Is that my understanding? Is that what this proposal does?
Yeah.
Reduces the fee or eliminates the fee for people up to 150?
Yes.
Is that what the?
Yeah,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Is it?
It's 40, up to 40 is eliminating the
It
fee.
eliminates the fee. Well, if the fee's there now, and the whole purpose is for us to generate revenue for the city, why is it being reduced or eliminated?
Okay.
You know, I mean, the whole purpose is, I mean, if we're gonna have wedding venues out there and being told that we can't do this or we can't do that on the beach if the wedding venue is occurring, I mean, I'll go down with my family and want to go ahead and utilize. I'm not gonna get in the way of wedding venue. I don't wanna ruin anybody's wedding, just like I wouldn't want anybody to ruin my wedding.
Ma'am.
So, you know, if there's fees involved in any entrepreneurial operations that we have now that are existing, why take them away? Why are we eliminating funds that we can generate for the community of Panama City Beach? Every income that we can get from tourists, weddings, and so forth, we should embrace it, utilize it, and continue to charge the fees that are on the books now. Thank you.
Thank you. Further public comment? Ms. Madalena, can you speak to what fees we can charge and how the fees are used and whether they are used for tax revenue or not?
Yes, so the concept of administrative fees in any sort of situation like this is to offset the actual administrative burden on the city. So it's not meant to be a revenue generating stream of income. It's just to help offset. People have to review applications, process them, you know, make sure they're meeting the requirements. And so the way that this is designed, the next item on the agenda that's before you is a resolution that will set a fee for the medium-sized wedding. So the scale would be 0 to 40 is small, does not have a fee, but also has a very simple intake process. It's essentially an email. And again, we're talking about just the Sandy Beach, and we're talking about kind of narrow windows of time. The next level, the medium events, the proposed amount in the next resolution is $50. And so that application is just a little bit more in terms of complexity, and someone has to review that and approve it. And so because of that, it's a $50 fee. Anything above that, which is the 100 and more, that's going to be the regular special event permit. That's going to have all the standard provisions apply that normally would apply, and that's a scaled fee, and also depends on the number of guests that you have, creates more complexity.
Yeah. And am I correct that any events on the Sandy Beach, per this code, is already considered a special event? What we're doing here is making it easier for beach weddings. So if you're doing anything that would qualify under a special event or qualify, it's a special event if it's on the Sandy Beach.
That's correct. And I think the basic premise being that if somebody wanted a very small wedding, 10 people, their close family, and they just wanted to be out on the beach at sunset, get married, and leave, they would have had to go through an entire special event permit process. And that process contemplates all kinds of things, including security and traffic controls and things that may not necessarily apply to that kind of small wedding concept. And so that's my understanding of where this is really coming from. It's not revising anything else about the special event permit process. It just makes it a little bit easier for different subcategories of more simplified events.
Further comments from the council?
No, I think it's a great ordinance, and I think we also tighten up the timelines as well of when they could be out there.
Yeah.
That's correct. It's a total of a 4-hour ceremony. You've got an hour setup, an hour breakdown, and it all centers around the sunset, when sunset's going to be. And so there is balancing the interests of regular beachgoers, but also the interests of those putting on the wedding to be able to have sufficient time to set up and reserve that space.
And there is also a provision that the weddings can't impede public beach access.
Right, absolutely. And there's some provisions about, they've got to follow all the laws and ordinances, and that applies equally to, the folks that are on the beach not involved with the wedding.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Council member, is that your hand?
I think this is a really good ordinance. I think it's a good change because it reduces the burden of staff to have to review these small events. Not only that, but you can come into town, you decide to get married, you can get married while you're here. You don't have to apply for a permit and wait for approval, which is currently the way it's done.
Right.
Great.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Fazzoni, please call roll.
Councilmember Coburn?
Yes.
Councilman Register?
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Mayor Jarman?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Casto?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Tettemer?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Next up is resolution number 2524. Mrs. Madalena.
Resolution number 2524, a resolution of the City of Panama City Beach, Florida, adopting a medium beach wedding permit fee and providing an immediately effective date.
And you foreshadowed this, but could you just summarize it for us?
Absolutely. So this would just be a resolution following adoption of this ordinance. And so for that medium-sized wedding, there's a $50 permit fee.
Okay. I'll open public comment on the permit fee.
Yes, what do we get, Janice Hatcher, what do we get for this permit fee? Do we get any type of, do we call the police whenever people interrupt the wedding? I'm going to give an example so you can understand. Sharky's is a restaurant, and if I went and took all my beach wedding stuff and set up in front of Sharky's where they were serving food, they say, excuse me, why are you here? We are a business, we have a license.
Could you speak into the mic, please?
Yeah, I was just trying to show you a little example.
Yeah, and I appreciate the illustration.
You like examples and stuff. You learn best that way. I understand. But what I'm trying to say to you is this. I don't interrupt and go over on their spot when they're trying to conduct their business. And when I don't have a problem with people going up and down the beach. But when there is a wedding there and I have a wedding business, I think this permit should allow us protection to have a wedding without interruption from people who think it's funny. I mean, it's not. Yelling out Karens and stuff like that during the middle of the wedding and threatening people, you don't know what's happening. I do. Something has to be done. So do we call the police and say, hey, we've got the wedding set up, the chairs set up, They can't come and set 5 fishing poles. It happened, 5 big fishing poles, commercial-looking things, and then they get up under the arbor. You see, we have an issue. People aren't as nice as they say they are. We don't have a problem with $50. That's nothing. $50, whatever. Thank you for that. What we want to do is have a smooth wedding, and if you're going to charge a fee to do it, provide us to have a wedding where people aren't interrupting that. And I think that's a fair thing to ask for. And that's been the issue all along, but you're not listening to it. We can't interrupt other businesses and go in front of them and conduct our business. They should be able to prevent us from having a wedding, which is our livelihood, to pay those payments for that house and taxes and the whole 9 yards. We should have respect for that. They don't respect it. They don't want to. That's what the fight and the issue is. And when we have a meeting, we should have a meeting right up here, not in somebody's house, but where everybody's invited, because I wasn't invited to a meeting. So when you discuss something, don't get in a house. Be a brave man. Come up here to the podium and let's all talk about it. Encouragement for you.
Further public comment on the $50 wedding fee?
I'm sorry. I asked to do this, but I need some clarification. Probably.
And your name is Alfie Martin.
I'm sorry?
Say your name, please, real quick.
Yeah. The thing is this. So anybody can have a wedding in front of any house, number one. And number two, where are they going to park? Because I'm talking about a specific in Oleander. If you have 50 people there, they need to park to unload. And I know what's going to happen on 50. So how are you resolving that? I'm sorry, it's a question that doesn't have to do with $50.
I mean, it relates to the previous one.
I'm sorry?
It relates to the previous one, it's fine. It related to the previous, the ordinance we just passed, but we'll talk about it.
That's a big concern, okay, because we are in more parking.
Sure.
So just, excuse me, Sal Morelli, I'm sorry again. Just like the previous resolution ordinance, this is a fee for administrative fees that, for people who are working there. So that's what the $50 fee is for. It's not for security or anything else like that. Now, if a business has something going on with their area, they should maintain their own security. That's part of the cost of doing business there. I have one question. I'm not really sure about the ordinance in the area, but is Oleander zoned for commercial?
Yes.
Is it zoned for commercial?
Just go ahead and finish it.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
It is?
Yeah, it's commercial
Okay,
hire.
all are there. Okay, so, I mean, $50 fee seems adequate enough, I mean, for being, having to pay for the people doing paperwork. In fact, the smaller venues, I think, should still maintain a fee, only because of the fact that we're paying people to do the paperwork involved. But, you know, all was fine then. Thank you so much for your
All
time.
right, thank you, sir.
My name is Captain Gary Wayne Beck. I live at 2601 Beach Street with a fee for the wedding. You know, why is it that the government has to charge the people for something we've been doing for our whole life? It's just one more time we got another example out of y'all creating burdens. It's $50 now. What's it going to be next year? $100, $200, $300? Or what's going to, you going to get the code enforcement to go in there and make sure everybody's paying to get married? You know? And y'all guys are just ruining the freedoms that we the people have. You know, you charge us a fee for everything. Right now, you need to take my license, do everything you want to me and all this stuff. And time and again, y'all sit up there and all y'all do is create burden for we the people. Burden with fees on weddings, burdens with all this stuff. You know? How come you burden the people? Oh yeah, that's right. To rich your pockets. What's going to happen to this $50 fee? Who's going to get to buy them a new car? Who's going to get to buy them a new boat? Huh? Oh yeah, let's don't forget about the, the fires on the beach. You know, you can do anything you want as long as you got enough money. And if you ain't got no money, you know, if you ain't got the money to clean the yard, you send the code enforcement, take the property. You know, if you ain't got they fine them, fees with the code enforcement, $30,000 fees for the code enforcement whenever they took my reeling rods, cast nets, all my tools, you know, the way I make my living. With fees, you know, fees, just like y'all charging the fee for marriage. You know, fee for anything. Yeah. What? $30,000 y'all charge me to take my reeling rods, cast nets, And let's don't forget, destroy my property, break my parking slab in 5 different places. But don't worry, you charged me $30,000 worth of fees for it. Oh yeah, what happened? Y'all extorted everybody you could except for me with the fees for the money, And what? All of a sudden the money just disappeared. What's going to happen with the $50, huh? Who's getting the $50 that's coming off these weddings? Who got all the money whenever they charged me the fees for taking my way of life, for taking my tools, my cast nets? Oh yeah, let's don't forget my tile from where they flooded my house twice with raw sewage. And the tile that I was trying to fix from where the county got up on my roof and put the foot through it.
Sir, this is about the wedding.
Yeah, with fees. They charge me fees for putting their foot through my roof, creating the damages, Just get up there and walk on it. And what was the damages about? The fees that they were charging me for what? The code enforcement. Violating what? My constitutional Bill of Rights. And Bill of Rights to what? They took pictures inside my window, over my privacy fence. They took pictures in the windows of my neighbors' houses, and they charged them fees for it. Doesn't that come against what's it called? The Fourth Amendment of the Constitution of we the people? Oh yeah, y'all forgot about that, right? What kind of fees should we charge you for breaking our constitutional rights? Huh? What kind of fees should we charge you for creating treason against we the people?
Thank you, sir. Further comment on this agenda item? Okay. I think if anyone has disruptions on the beach, they are more than welcome to call police and code enforcement, just as normal. There's no entitlement here. Any comment from the council?
Motion approved.
Second.
Ms. Fazzoni?
Councilmember Coburn?
Yes.
Councilman Register?
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Mayor Jarman?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Casto?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Teddemer?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Next up is item 3. Ms. Madeline?
Approval of plat for the commercial subdivision, Northwind Commercial Subdivision, public hearing, quasi-judicial hearing.
Okay. This is a hearing to consider the approval of the Northwind Commercial Subdivision Plat, Section 10700 of the City's Land Development Code. This is a quasi-judicial hearing governed by the City's Land Development Code. This hearing is simply to determine that the proposed plat has been approved by staff and meet the requirements of the law. We will now begin the hearing. Will all witnesses, or all persons wishing to speak during this hearing, please rise to be sworn in. Ms. Fazzoni, please swear them.
Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay, next up is notice. Mr. Leonard?
Do we have Jennings disclosed?
It's going to be after this. I thought so too.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The notice requirements were satisfied.
Okay. Next up, the disclosure. At this time, we will ask for each member of the council to make their Jennings disclosures.
I've talked to Mr. Whitman about this at my weekly meeting. I know where the property's at.
Nothing to disclose.
Nothing to disclose.
Nothing to disclose.
I've spoken to staff as well as drive by it several times a day.
Okay. At this time, we'll hear the staff's report. Mr. Leonard.
Of course, I'll just be doing a portion of it. Mr. Rothwell will be doing the other portion. But as for the planning end of this plat, it is located within the city limits. It is consistent with the comprehensive plan, and it complies with the Land Development Code.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leonard.
I like your report.
Good report. Mr. Rothwell.
Yes, sir. This particular plat location is 5.27 acres and will be divided into four lots, generally located in northwest corner of PCB Parkway and Alpha Coleman, and all infrastructure will remain private, and it meets our land development code.
Thank you, Mr. Rothwell. Now for the affected party. At this time, we will hear from any affected party who wishes to speak. Please come up and state your name and address for the record. Any affected parties? Okay. Next up is public comment. At this time, we will take public comment. Any public comment? Okay. We'll just go through it. Rebuttal. At this time, we will hear any rebuttal by staff, any affected party, or the applicant. Any rebuttal by staff, affected party, or the applicant. Okay. At this time, we will close the evidentiary portion of this hearing. At this time, we will hear the closing arguments by staff and then the applicant. Any closing arguments? Okay, we are moving to council discussion. Any council discussion?
Just real quick, we will deal with stormwater on those plats once they decide what they're putting there, correct?
Yeah, they'll handle that through the land development code and the normal building process.
That's it.
Okay. All right.
Motion approved.
Second.
Ms. Fazzoni?
Councilmember Coburn?
Yes.
Councilman Register?
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Mayor Jarman?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Casto?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Teddemer?
Yes, ma'am. Next up is Resolution 2525. This is Madalena.
Resolution number 2525, a resolution of the City of Panama City Beach, Florida, approving a change order to the city's joint participation agreement with the Florida Department of Transportation for the widening of Panama City Beach Parkway between Mandy Lane and Nautilus Street, utilities relocation in the amount of $346,000, $980.59, and authorizing a budget amendment.
Okay. Mr. Schaefer, would you please come up and help us understand this item?
They have been doing a lot of work right there.
Yes, good morning. This is for replacing a section of 16-inch force main, sanitary sewer force main that extends approximately 800 feet west of the intersection of Pier Park Drive and Panama City Beach Parkway on the south side there. When the plans were let, it showed our existing force main in its correct location alongside where they're putting in the stormwater improvements for that southern edge of the wider pavement section. And the contractor issued a notice of intent letter to the DOT saying, I cannot install that using conventional trench box method. The DOT reviewed the claim and they sent us a letter directing us that we need to relocate our force main, that section force main. So that section was removed as they've installed that stormwater culvert, and now this change order would allow for reconstruction of that force main anywhere from 12 to 15 feet further away from the edge of pavement.
Okay. So that's why this was a surprise, because when they got there, there's an issue with the culvert?
Yeah, clearly it's shown on the drawings, but the contractor determined that he could not use a traditional trench box to put it in, so there would be additional cost. DOT determined that it was more appropriate for us to move our line.
Okay, so the contractor said it was too difficult, and then, but we're contracting with that same contractor for this work, is that correct?
That's correct, and there's some benefits in that. You know, they gave us a proposal for constructing that relocated line. It was reviewed by the independent construction engineer, C. Wright and Associates. They looked it over, and our consultant engineer looked over as well. They came up with slightly higher estimates using DOT unit prices, so I can give you their numbers. McKim and Creed, our consultant, priced it out at $352, $371.42, and C. Wright using DOT index numbers from the statewide information is $427, $426, and 46 cents. So both are higher than the price that they're offering us. In that proposal, it does not include mobilization because the contractor is already mobilized out there. So that's a financial benefit to the city against us bidding this out and trying to get a contractor in there to do that. He has an logistic advantage in that he's already there. There's an added benefit to us in that if we were to employ an independent contractor, they could get in each other's way and start initiating delay claims. So it's much cleaner that one party manage the work.
Okay. So we validated that the move made sense. We validated the pricing. It's actually beneficial pricing, it's particularly because of the lack of mobilization. Does the city get any other benefit from this move?
It's further away from the edge of pavement, so the line's more accessible in the future should should that section get damaged or something, we would be further away from the edge of pavement. There's less threat to the roadway, safer working environment for the repair crews.
Okay. Any questions up here? Good. Thank you, Mr. Safer.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very much.
Any public comment on this agenda item? Okay.
No one wants to talk about sewer lines.
No one wants to talk about sewer lines. We're just happy they work.
Amen.
All right. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Fazzoni?
Councilmember Coburn?
Yes.
Councilman Register?
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Mayor Jarman?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Casto?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Dedham?
Yes, ma'am. All right. Next up is item number 5, the Planning Board. Mr. Whitman.
Yeah, it's that time of year under the Land Development Code. The council has to select the chairman for the planning board annually, so it's that time of year, and I'll turn it over to you. Josh Waston, who's the current chairman, said he would like to serve again at your pleasure.
Okay. Yep. Think he does a good job.
Yeah, I think he does a great job. I spoke with Josh. He wants to continue on, and I actually served with Josh, so I know he has the best interest of the city in mind. So I'd like to see Josh continue on.
Motion to retain Josh Wakestein as chairman of the planning board.
Second.
Do we have to take comments on this one?
I don't think so. This
We
is
don't have
totally
to.
your
Yeah.
decision.
Okay. All right. In that case, we got a motion and a second. Ms. Fazzoni?
Councilmember Coburn?
Yes.
Councilman Register?
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Mayor Jarman?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Casto?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Dedham?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Now the city manager's report.
Just two things real quick. Monday was Veterans Day. I just want to thank all the men and women that have served or are serving our nation. Thank you for their service to our country. And then I'd like to turn over to Ms. Lynn real quick so she can introduce the new assistant to the city clerk that will be working closely with the 5 of you.
Thank you. Mindy, would you like to stand up or come to the podium? This is Mindy Lawyer. She started yesterday. She is admin
welcome.
assistant to council and city clerk, and she's going to be a wonderful addition.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Welcome.
Welcome, Mindy.
Excited to have her.
Look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Lynn does a whole lot in her job, and so she needs support, and we're happy to have you, Mindy. Thank you for agreeing to join the city. Okay.
I'm fine. Thank you.
All right. Mrs. Madalena?
No report.
No report. Okay. Mr. Casto?
I'd just like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. This is our last meeting this month, so we'll see you guys next month here, and have a good holiday season with your family.
Okay. Mr. Register?
Just echo the same. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, all our residents, all our staff. You guys do a tremendous job, and I love this beach and love the people they're here and so passionate about our community, and the fact that we have all the public comment that we have is a blessing. The people that care and want to fight for what they believe is the direction of this community is a blessing. So I appreciate y'all, and we may not always agree or do those things, but I think we've worked together as a community, come out with a great resolution. I look forward to these two communities working together inside our city limits to be able to come up with something that's amicable to both parties. And appreciate you very much, Mr. Bailey. I got 2 little kids, and if they were standing on that corner, I ride Alf Coleman often, and it's not safe. And I appreciate you bringing it to our attention and making it a concern. That's a big deal for us to have our kids safe. I don't want to ever put a kid in jeopardy, and I think that's something I know that Mr. Whitman, our city manager, takes very seriously, and I know he'll move quickly on it, and I know our chief of police does as well. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. Other than that, happy Thanksgiving.
Councilmember Coburn?
Yes. I'd just like to bring up the electric bikes again, which the gentleman spoke about, because I've experienced on Middle Beach Road with them riding on the sidewalks, going quite fast. So aren't they treated like a motorized vehicle so that they're supposed to be riding in the street?
They're governed by the state as a bicycle. They're allowed to use the sidewalk or the roadway.
Okay. Well, I guess
Okay.
we need to get them to get some horns or something, because they come up behind you and you don't hear them, that's for sure. And then I'd just like to mention to save the date for the Christmas parade coming up on December 14th, since we won't be having another meeting this month. And happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Also, what is it, the Friday after Thanksgiving, TDC's got Home for the Holidays and the tree lighting, so be sure to come out for that. Just wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, be a safe Thanksgiving, because it can holidays can be a dangerous time of the year. So everyone be safe and enjoy time with your families. That's all I have.
Okay. I wanted to follow up on the e-bike. So we are allowed to regulate those e-bikes off the sidewalk. Is that correct?
So I don't have an answer to that right now, but what I can tell you preliminarily is that typically traffic on the roadways is going to be governed by Chapter 316 Florida statutes, and there is a preemption provision in there. And so when the state has regulated something, there are limitations on what we, the local government, can do. And that the idea there being is that they want uniform traffic controls. And so as these things develop, e-bikes, UTVs, these new technologies come into the marketplace and come onto the roadways and sidewalks, that we have to kind of grapple with that. So what I would suggest, if you wanted a closer look at that, is the opportunity to go back and research that a little bit further to see.
Yeah,
I'm good for that.
Yeah, I know that this council has brought up e-bikes a few times in different contexts. I think it's worth seeing what the options are there, and it's a new technology. We'll have to grapple with them. So it's worth seeing what we can do.
Absolutely.
Other than that, I echo the sentiments of the council. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and just ask the good Lord to guide us and protect us and the people of Panama City Beach. Thank you, and see you in December.